these headlines, we've decided to pursue nuclear. Here's the key considerations. I know I'm probably running a little over, so I want to speed through this a little bit. But the bottom line is that we need more generation. We want to conserve. We're going to push for conservation. We want to have renewables in our portfolio. We're going to continue doing that. At the end of the day, we still need more power generation to satisfy our growing community. So among all the choices we have, we believe, factor in all the risks of all the alternatives, nuclear still deserves a really good look, and that's what we're doing right now. I will point out what we have done historically and into the future. We are looking at carbon intensity, the carbon intensity of our power generation. And as you can see here, it's declining. And you'll notice the orange bar is carbon intensity, CO2 pounds per megawatt hour generated. The orange line, the blue line is power generation. So we're going to generate more in the future. We're going to emit less. We're going to be doing that because we believe, you can see the decline there in 2015, 2016. That would be new nuclear generation coming online. You can see the decline in the 1988, 89 time frame. That was our first investment in nuclear. And you can see the decline in the 2004, 2005 time frame. That's when we bought another, a larger share of the existing nuclear plant from AEP when they sold out. So nuclear is an important part of our carbon intensity reduction strategy going forward. So the question is, why will nuclear power be different this time? I get that question a lot, as you might expect. Well, I'll tell you, here are the main bullets here. Nuclear technology has, in fact, improved over the past decade as this industry has continued to expand outside of the USA. We haven't built a plant in the USA in 20 years, but they've been built around the world. So we're kind of getting left behind, and the technology has actually improved. It's improved the design, and the design has, in fact, improved safety, reliability, and cost. So the other thing is innovative construction techniques have really improved that construction cost certainty. They've been built in Japan repeatedly on a 42-month, 44-month schedule, and they do it by modularizing as much as they can. So there's a couple of big things going for it there. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission has made some changes that really improve the outlook of nuclear. The first is that they're focusing on certified design. You know, we have 104 commercial nuclear plants in the United States. Most of them are unique designs. So if you can think about the subdivision that you live in, if you live in a custom home subdivision where every home is unique, think about the construction costs and the risk for the contractor to build those unique houses. Now think about a subdivision out in Stone Oak where it's a production-built subdivision, where there's only 10 models to pick from. You can pick different colors, but it's basically just 10 models. And that's how they drive the cost down. So the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission is really looking to standardize designs. There's 2 designs approved, 3 are pending, and that's a big advantage. And finally, they went to a combined licensing operation where you don't get a construction permit, they can go build it, and then ask for an operating permit, and then they come in and say, you know what, we really don't like the design over here. You need to rip this out and replace it with something else. You get the construction and operating permit all in the same step. It's a huge, huge change. The other thing is local communities are now supporting this. Back in the 70s and 80s, when Mr. Post was helping run CPS, they had to deal with a community that wasn't really receptive to the power plant down there. Now, if you go down to Bay City, by and large, that community is looking for the expansion. They want the expansion in that regard. And then finally, the 2005 Policy Act actually lowers the financial risk. They're listed here. For the sake of time, I'm going to skip this slide. They're in the hand. I do have some copies of some slides. I have plenty of copies. I didn't distribute them, but if you would like a copy, they're available. But the U.S. Policy Act has significant advantages, incentives for new nuclear generation. Not all of them apply to CPS Energy because we're tax exempt. So we are working with our other tax exempt entities like Santee Cooper, MEAG, Ohio Public Power District. We're all working to get some of those incentives to apply to public power. But that's not a done deal yet. So a moment on South Texas project. As you might know, it's in Bay City, Texas. It's really an ideal site for expansion. There are 3 owners. NRG Energy is the 44% owner. We're the 40% owner, and Austin Energy is the 16% owner. That plant is currently ranked, it's 2 units. There are 2 units at that location. Unit 1 is ranked #1 in the world out of 442 operating plants in the world. In 2007, it was ranked #1, and unit #2 was ranked #14. So that's a big reason why our energy bills in San Antonio are lower than they are in Austin, and because we own more than they do, and in Houston, and in Dallas, and in Corpus Christi. So development of a new nuclear plant at South Texas. Here, this is kind of the wrap-up here. We selected advanced boiling water reactor design. That's one of those two designs that were already approved by the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission. That's a very important point. It is also the only one of the approved designs that actually exists somewhere in the world today. You can actually go kick the tires in these plants. 4 in operation in Japan. There's 1 more under construction in Japan. There's 2 more under construction in Taiwan. All of the other plants that are being talked about in the U.S. have never been built before. So we decided, because as I mentioned, nuclear, the risk is regulatory and the risk is construction. So what is a logical thing? Pick a plant that's been built before, because you lower the construction risk and you lower the regulatory risk. When the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission can fly over to Japan and actually look at the plant, it's a whole lot better than saying, here's the drawings, we think it'll work. So that's a very big point. On September 24th of last year, NRG, the primary partner, the largest partner on the South Texas project, and CPS jointly submitted the first combined operating license application to the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. It's the first in almost 30 years we submitted to the NRC to build a new plant in the United States. So we're currently negotiating with Toshiba as the prime contractor. They have experience building the ABWR design. As I mentioned, that's a very important aspect of lower risk. I get asked this question a lot. What happened? Austin didn't, they've announced publicly that they're not going to go forward, but they haven't officially given notice of that regard. What happens if they don't go forward? Well, if they don't go forward, CPS and NRG are going to split it up 50-50. And at that point, we'd likely seek out a third partner to come in for 20%. So we essentially go back to 40% if we brought in a third partner. So that's where we're headed. Our board has approved a $260 million budget. That doesn't mean we have approval to go build a power plant. We're still having to prove out that we can build it for the cost that we've analyzed and we believe we can build it. This is just a summary of the new designs of nuclear reactors in the United States. I've highlighted the row in yellow as the one that we picked. As you can see, the other ones have not been built anywhere else in the United States, or in the world, that is. So this is the final slide.